How's it going? I'm Dr. J, and it's finally time for the Donkey Kong Guide. Sorry for the delayed upload. I'm actually putting together an esports related website / company out in the real world right now, so the Smash Live remained empty for almost a week while I was busy with that. Anyway, you might be curious about the title of this video, so let me explain. You know Bruce Lee? Well, if not, here he is kicking Chuck Norris in the face. Okay, you get the picture. Bruce Lee was known for his explosive but patient style of fighting, not just in his movies, but in real life. He actually sort of developed his own fighting style called Jeet Kune Do, with a unique stance that helped him maximize his techniques. If you don't know anything about martial arts, it might surprise you to hear that one of the most important and complicated topics in fighting is your stance. Stances in martial arts work as a sort of Rochambeau, and they're basically attempts to gain positional advantage. In addition, in many styles, specific stances are adopted for either attack or for defense. Some stances are used purely for training or as progressions to more advanced and practical stances learned later on. Jeet Kune Do is one great example of how a simple change in stance can change an entire fighting style. Basically, Bruce Lee found that the optimal way to quickly end a real fight would be to switch the lead and rear feet to have more power at a longer range in front of him. Donkey Kong facing backwards is like the Smash version of Jeet Kune Do. Standing backwards gives access to a better hitbox on up tilt, which is one of DK's best moves and my favorite up tilt in the game. Forward tilt can be done the same regardless of which way you're facing, as you can turn by F tilting. And when you're in the air, all you really have facing forward is Nair and Fair, which are either slow and really short range respectively. They're both good combo starters or even KO moves, but jumping facing backwards gives you back air, which is extremely fast and very powerful. It reminds me of Melee Jigglypuff's back air. It's just that good. Obviously you can't always face away from your opponent, but being able to do so on demand while keeping control will help your DK a lot. It's extremely important that you're able to fight efficiently in any position and understand when to mix up and switch to a different tactic. Donkey Kong is not very mobile at all, and you're inevitably going to spend a lot of time taking damage and will lose a good amount in neutral, so you have to maximize your punish and defense game at every opportunity you can. Thus, some of the most important things you can practice as a new Smash Ultimate DK are reverse aerial rush back airs, micro spacing, platform mechanics, and acting out of dash. DK is a large moving target, so clean and unpredictable movement is essential. Practice spacing your tilts out of dash and getting your foxtrots on point. By the way, microspacing is not only spacing at close range, but also being able to quickly turn around in order to make sure your attack lands. If you're having trouble with this, make sure you're keeping a relaxed grip on your controller, and practice quick and precise but gentle movements with the control stick. Finally, Donkey Kong's platform game is awesome. Not because he does particularly well on them, but because he does amazing underneath them. His up tilt, back air, and up air are great for covering platforms, and because he has a sick grab and solid armor moves, he can tech chase through get up attacks with his up, neutral, and side specials, or fake an aerial and do a tomahawk grab as a mix-up. Speaking of specials, they're really good in this game. Neutral special is extremely powerful, and having it fully charged when you can is great. It also has armor on it, so it can easily punish get up attacks and certain attacks like jabs. However, unlike characters like Samus or Wii Fit Trainer, DK does not rely on charging his neutral B very much. You can't pivot with the charge like Samus, but you can pivot with the punch. Practice charging just a little and then cancelling it quickly with a jump, shield, or spot dodge. Side special is straight up sick. I know it doesn't have a great hitbox, and that you can mash out of the berry at low percents, but it's a lot more useful than you might think. First off, side B is a simple but effective way to get to the edge or stall a bit in the air. Just like his neutral B, Side B has enough armor to get through most non-smash signal hits like a get-up attack, and it can also be used in the air, but it doesn't bury obviously. This can be a deceptive mix-up if your opponent challenges you with an aerial, but again it's not that great. If you get the bury at low percents, do a jab or a down tilt into something else, medium percents an up tilt or down air, and at higher percents an F or down smash. Down special should almost always be used in the air. You can pivot with it, and it spikes, leading into many true combos. It adds air mobility and a pretty needed forward-facing hitbox. Now for up special. I love this move out of shield. It's an amazing ledge trap, it has great damage and knockback so it can kill, and it's the perfect get off me move. Also, the armor means that you can treat it as a semi-counter. Now for smashes. Up smash is powerful like his other ones, but it's really not that useful in comparison to up air and up tilt. F smash is kind of the same deal because your up, neutral, and side specials are usually safer, but on a hard read or a buried opponent without a charged punch, then obviously give them the clap. Down smash, however, is good. Not great because it's slow, but it hits like a truck and covers a huge area around you. So this is the smash you'll be defaulting to when you do want to throw out a smash. But honestly, his aerials do just as good of a job as knocking out, and all of his smashes are pretty laggy, so only use them on a hard read. For tilts, I already talked about up tilt, and F tilt is pretty standard but pretty effective spacing move, but let me talk about down tilt for a second. It covers less range than F tilt, but it's faster and leads into some sick follow-ups. Downward angled forward tilt has a 15% chance to trip, but down tilt has a 40% chance to trip. If you don't get the trip, you can down tilt again at low percents, but usually an F tilt, dash attack, or tech chase grab or aerial will be the follow-up, regardless of if you trip. All of those are pretty much strings though, as in they're not true combos. Donkey Kong's grab and throw game is awesome. He has an okay grab range and pivot grab, but more importantly he gets a lot off of his throws. The throws you generally want to be using are down throw and cargo throw, or back air at really high percents. Down throw is deceptively useful as a tech chase starter, but cargo throw is really where it's at. If you're close to the edge, walk forward and then walk off the stage into a down throw. If this isn't going to work in the matchup though, or at that percent, go for the jump up throw out of cargo throw. It leads into some combos, but more importantly it gets the opponent above you so that you can go in with up airs and up tilts. I'm not going to go into too many combos and strings because DK has a lot of them, but here are the ones I find most useful. Falling back air or nair into a tilt, falling up air into pretty much anything at low percents, down air into up tilt into up air, and cargo up throw into pretty much any aerial depending on the percent. So for the neutral game, due to DK's lack of projectiles and mobility, you're usually going to be on the approach or waiting to punish, and you're going to get stuffed a lot. Like I mentioned earlier, Donkey Kong has different options depending on which way he's facing, and his best approach tool is his back air, followed by acting with a tilt or grab out of dash. I can't stress enough that in order to master Donkey Kong, you need to master the minute movements of turning around and micro-spacing your tilts using dash dancing and dash canceling. DK has meh recovery, which is pretty self-explanatory. Just mix up your timing, save your double jump, and recover low to the ledge, but despite this, DK is really hard to knock out due to his massive weight and armor moves, so don't be afraid to approach or tank light hits at high percent. So for matchups and general strategy, DK's up tilt and back air alone can pretty much steamroll through a lot of the lower tiers. You want to always be around the mid to close range with DK and make sure that you're facing the right direction in order to maximize your hitboxes. The notable characters that I think DK straight up bodies are light characters with short range on their kill moves like Jigglypuff, Kirby, and Pichu, but basically any character that can't get in past his tilts or KO him around the low 100% mark are in for a rough time against DK. Be very aggressive in these matchups and abuse your long range tilts and strong aerials. On the other hand, fast projectile characters like Young Link and a lot of the sword characters destroy DK if you aren't playing very carefully. DK is a big, slow-moving target for projectiles and disjointed attacks, so you're inevitably going to be camped out a lot by these. However, keep your cool and understand that most projectiles can't knock you out, so it's honestly fine to sometimes get hit by projectiles. Because once DK gets his hands on his opponent, he can make up for all of that chip damage pretty easily. Use the extra time that your survivability gets you to pay close attention to your opponent's patterns and figure out the most optimal way to get in. Rushing in without thinking about it is not the move because that's what your opponent wants. Without realizing it, projectile campers are actually giving away their patterns and habits while they spam you, but they're not really getting any information in return. You need to make sure that your movement is good enough that you can dodge any projectile spam without actually looking at your own character. My most important note on DK in my opinion is parry. parry into tilts, parry into specials, heck, parry into smashes. But basically, because DK has problems with projectiles, and big swords like Ikes and Clouds, whatever top level DK winds up mastering parrying first will probably be the best DK out there. My bet is on Conga, obviously. Overall, DK is one of those polarizing characters that wins a lot of matchups heavily and loses a lot of matchups heavily. If you're a DK main with no secondaries, be sure to practice against the Lynx, Cloud, Ike, Wolf, Yoshi, and maybe the Belmonts quite a bit. Also Villager and Zero Suit. These matchups take patience, precise movement and reaction, and a very good understanding of the matchup to beat. However, if you can't deal with these matchups, and you're willing to pick up a secondary character to better suit those situations, consider picking up a character like Rob, Young, or Adult Link, Cloud, Pichu, or Pikachu to cover DK's weaknesses. Finally, go watch Fists of Fury and think of that when you're playing DK. Or not, I don't really care what you do. Unless, of course, you want to subscribe or comment, because I'll really care about that. But actually, thanks so much for the support, you guys. We're at about 800 subscribers last time I checked, which is pretty nuts. So really, thanks. So anyway, happy labbing and peace.